What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 2 of the Sportsbook, hosted by yours truly, Tiz, and my co-host, Rob. Here to break down UFC London. Headed back to London this weekend for a pretty, I'd say, like, this is more, like, you'll have, like, your cards for, like, you know, like, maybe the more casual, actually more like a pay-per-view and whatnot, but I feel like this fight night card is, like, really for the diehard.
Although I
fight fan.
do feel like UFC London, like every time they're there for some reason, it just feels bigger. Like I feel like the British fans really give it a different feeling.
I feel like it's gonna be really cool. It's gonna have like that pay-per-view feel. I feel like.
Well, they have the ceremonial weigh-ins. I'm watching here as we're going, making sure we don't miss anything interesting. Molly McCann's pretty fired up, but might as well get into the money making.
Let's just get right into it because, you know, not really like last week in the sense that you have a bunch of these 9K fighters and whatnot. Like you have, you know, no shortage of options at the top, but you know, you still have your favorites. You still have your top guys, and not the best underdog slate, but there's still value to be had as always. And there's still a way to make a pretty damn good lineup this week. So
can I start off by asking you a question, and this will probably help us get right into it anyway, but on DraftKings, isn't Tom Aspinall less than 9K?
Yeah, he's
that's incredible.
8,300.
I think it might be because of Volkov's like experience and reach, but like
so him and
him
and Volkov are pretty, like, they're pretty close together, which I mean this is expected. Volkov 7,900 and Aspinall 8,300.
It's kind of like last week in the sense that, like, it's the younger, up-and-coming guy finally getting his test against someone who's in that, like, elite echelon. And, like, I think that Tom Aspinall will do good, personally.
Yeah, this is a good test for him.
I think it's a lot like the Gane-Volkov fight. Like, because him and Aspinall and Gane, they fight, like, very similarly in the way that, like, they're very quick and they like to bounce in and out of range. But I think Aspinall has, like, a lot of power. And Gane does, too, but Aspinall, like, he takes more chances with it, I think.
Yeah, I think we're going to find out a lot about Aspinall this week in the sense, like...
Never been in a 5-rounder.
Exactly. Does he have that gas tank to go the whole way if he needs to? Because I know Volkov, like, especially at heavyweight, Volkov's kickboxing is, like... It's up there. Like, it's up there with some of the best at heavyweight, and that alone can just be enough to wear out Aspinall if Aspinall can't get a finish.
He definitely has a wearing style, like the type that's gonna like put volume on you throughout the 5 rounds. Mm-hmm. And like the only times you really see him get tired in 5-round fights are when like he gets taken down over and over. And Aspinall does have really good grappling though. Like a lot of people sleep on that, like with British fighters, and like, you know, some of them are just mainly strikers, but Aspinall is a great striker, but he's a really good grappler too, which people don't realize. I'm pretty sure I heard him say this once. I think his dad is like the first English jiu-jitsu black belt or something crazy. I don't remember. It's like something crazy like that. I heard him say it one time. But he does have good ground game. Like against Andrei Arlovsky, remember that choke he hit him with? Like I don't even think he had any hooks in. He just had the choke around the neck.
Yeah, bro. So on DK, we got Aspinall as a minus 125 money line, and then you got Volkov, who's a plus 105 money line. For Aspinall on FanDuel, you got Aspinall as a plus 450 money line. You got Volkov as a minus 102 money line. So, and then as far as like finishing methods go and all that, to win by decision on DraftKings, Volkov's a plus 275. Aspinall's a plus 420. Okay, so not anything crazy there. And then the FanDuel odds to win by decision on FanDuel, Aspinall's a plus 650 to win by decision. Volkov's a plus 310. And then this is where the finishes come in. It gets pretty interesting. You got Aspinall as a plus 1,000 to win by submission, 1,400 for Volkov on DraftKings. And FanDuel, Aspinall's odds to win by knockout plus 220 on FanDuel. I don't hate that.
Yeah, no, it could be, honestly. I mean, it's
I
weird
think there's
because
some
I
value
think
in that.
one of the reasons why him by decision is so low is just because he's never been in like a 5 rounder. So like,
Yeah, that makes sense.
that's not to say that like he can't do it. It's more that just Vegas doesn't know if he can. So keep that in mind too. That like just because the odds of it are so low doesn't mean that it's not possible. Especially in like the case of a young up and
Of
comer.
course, yeah. And then Volkov's FanDuel to win by knockout plus 300. So I mean, I think there's some value in
Just a little bit. I
the
mean,
knockout line, but
a heavyweight that could always happen. There's always
Exactly.
value in a knockout bet. I feel like, but
yeah, and their price tags are pretty closely similar too. For me, I think you need at least one guy, somebody from this fight. I feel like it's just a heavyweight main event. Like it just doesn't, it doesn't get much better than that from a daily fantasy perspective. They're both pretty fairly priced, I'd say. Like neither of them are over 9K or even really that close. You got Volkov who's not even at 8K. So I mean, if it's an ownership thing or whatever the case may be, so if whichever your preference is feeling, I like Aspinall. So if I'm playing, I'm probably going with Aspinall, but I don't think you can. I won't fault anybody for going with Volkov either. I mean, it reflects in the numbers as well. I'm pretty excited for this one. I mean, it's those prop bets that I don't know about. Are you thinking this ends in a finish pretty early?
It's possible. I mean, I think if anyone's gonna finish it early, it would be Aspinall.
Yeah, and I feel like it has to happen in the first 2 rounds too.
Yeah, because I don't know. I mean, I don't really know how Aspinall's gonna go about this fight, considering it's like a 5 rounder. Because usually he has like a really aggressive style, but like in a 5 round fight, he might maybe heal it back a little bit, and sometimes it might not even work. But for him, I feel like he's a good enough fighter, and like he's so skilled all around that he'll be able to adjust and be able to handle that 5 round pace. But who knows? Because I mean, Volkov's like he's a test for anybody in my opinion. Like you can't just go right through him, even though people sleep on him because he's had some losses, but it's only the best of the best who are beating this guy, so he has the chance to prove it pretty much this weekend.
Yeah, I think just I don't know. I think you want somebody from this fight for sure.
Yeah, if I play, I'll probably pick Aspinall, but
yeah,
we'll see what happens we go.
So as we transition over the co-main event, which is if you thought the main event was closed, then
yeah,
this one should be a fun one for sure.
It really should be a pick'em too.
Oh
honestly.
Yeah, it's not it's not quite even money like one fight we have on this card, but you got Arnold Allen on DraftKings as a -115. You got Dan Hooker on DK as a -105. Their prices, Hooker's actually the more expensive of the two at 8,200. Arnold Allen checking in at 8K flat. And then for their FanDuel moneyline odds, you have Hooker checking in as a +102, and then Arnold Allen as a -120. So yeah, it is like super even, and
yeah, I mean,
understandably so. Thing is, for me, obviously this being Dan Hooker's first fight back.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on that? I don't even think we've talked about the fight, but we didn't really go into it.
Yeah, I get it. That's just something you see. I think we've talked about it before. Like if just something is not going well for a fighter in a certain division, then time for a change. You're either moving up or you're moving down. And
it's weird because he's been there before, but it was a while ago, and he had mixed results. So I don't It's weird. I almost don't know what to expect. He'll definitely be better than he was, but he's going up against a guy in Arnold Allen who is one of the best fighters in that division, and people just don't talk about that. Just because he's quiet, that's what it is. He doesn't really talk much, and when he does, he's pretty even keeled. He's not one of those guys who's gonna talk shit. But I think that Arnold Allen is honestly one of the better fighters in this division. We're really gonna find out a lot about both guys in this fight.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think whenever you get like a weight cut, then that fighter's chin becomes more like susceptible to be, just a
True.
target. And
Although Dan Hooker, though, I don't think, at least in the UFC, I know he's never been knocked out at featherweight, and I know at lightweight he's been pretty tough. And like, think about it, like he's been in like those wars with Felder, Poirier, and then I think the one finish that sticks out to me with Hooker that was a while ago, and this just proves how tough he was. Remember the Edson Barboza fight? I don't remember if we ever watched that one together, but it's Jesus. Wow. If you ever get a chance, just watch it. It's just like beat down from pillar to post, and honestly, I'll loop it back into this fight. It's like a similar type of matchup in the sense that Arnold Allen can stay at a range and like pick him apart if Dan Hooker doesn't, if he just plods forward. Like, it's so weird. Dan Hooker has like a long reach, and when he's just using his jab and he's like using his teeps and stuff to keep his range, he's really good. But sometimes when he gets into those brawls, that's when he starts getting picked apart and hit a lot. So I'm not really sure like what to think going into this, but what are some of your thoughts on it?
You got Arnold Allen as a plus. So it is on FanDuel actually. You have Dan Hooker as a plus 350 to win by knockout, and then Arnold Allen plus 650, which is okay. And then DraftKings, it's closer, but it's also kind of the same. Plus 450 for Hooker, plus 600 for Allen. I don't
see a finish. Honestly, I'm gonna just say that.
Yeah,
by either guy.
I like Arnold Allen here, to be honest.
Yeah, honestly, I agree.
From a DFS standpoint, like the price on both sites, you have Hooker at $14 on FanDuel and Arnold at $17. Like, it's not that much of a difference, but
yeah, they're pretty close when I was looking.
I just feel like you kind of just hit the nail on the head before. There's no one really talks about this guy, and because he's whatever, maybe he's quiet or whatnot, but I think it's gonna reflect in the ownership percentage too. I don't think he's gonna be all that. Not to say that you really need anyone from this fight, but it is still one to target, I think.
But one thing to note though about Arnold Allen's style, it kind of depends on how his opponent is going to fight him, because he's not the type who's going to go out and try. He's not going to go into a firefight like Dan Hooker wants to go into, which is why I'm so intrigued. And I think that Dan Hooker eventually he might start to get frustrated, and then he might try and just keep walking him down. And that might work because, if you think about it, Dan Hooker is the bigger guy. He has that long reach. He's like a tall, brooding type presence. And, if he can back Arnold Allen up against the cage, who knows? But I honestly think that Arnold Allen is really good, and I think he'll be able to stick and move, from the outside pretty much, and just pick him apart. And, the other thing is, too, Arnold Allen, he doesn't have that many finishes, but he does have, a lot of power. And even if he's not getting the finish, if he hits Dan Hooker a lot to the body...
knockdowns and whatnot.
Well, not even that. Well, that too, but just, to the body, just punching or kicking to the body, and he's a southpaw. Yeah. So if Dan Hooker is standing orthodox, that liver kicks open, and you got to think, with that weight cut, he hasn't had it in a long time. So I'm not saying that'll lead to a finish maybe, but I think Arnold Allen can definitely do some damage, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's something to note for sure.
But it's just, you have to weigh, the pros and cons here, because, there's that, but then there's also the fact, like I said, that he does tend to stay on the outside and pick him apart. So if Dan Hooker is not going to, come forward and attack, his, stats on this fight might not be as high, which might be bad for fantasy. Mm-hmm. But honestly, I'd be willing to take the chance on it. I feel like Dan Hooker is going to try and fight him. Dan Hooker comes for a fight.
I think in that's also part of why I feel why you just mentioned it before about how Arnold Allen was slept on and all that. Well, how this could also play into the ownership numbers and all that. I think this also ties in Dan Hooker, like you just said, the one who's looking for that that absolute just war, just both just going at it and whatnot, and that's obviously good for fantasy. You want the finish and all that. You want all that. So that's just even more reason. I don't think Arnold Allen is I think he stands out, but not just some absolute smash. I think it's just
personally the way I kind of see it is maybe that would be something if I have at the end of my lineup, when I'm building it and I have maybe 2 spots left and I want to pick a guy that's in that mid tier, because he's on DraftKings he's in like the 8K range, right?
Yeah, he's 8K exactly.
There you go. So, yeah, I mean, he's definitely like worth taking a chance on, but you just got to keep it in mind, like what his fight style is.
Yeah, you don't need to. I don't think you need to forward, and that's what I'm saying about Dan Hooker too. Dan Hooker, I actually think is going to lose this fight too, but yeah, we'll see. I think it's going to be a banger regardless. Hopefully, like either way, even if
I think it'll be an interesting fight at the very least. Like I
think
always like seeing two high level people.
It probably starts off a little slow. Both just trying to feel each other out and
because Dan Hooker, like it's funny, like if you watch like a lot of his fights, like when he ends up getting into wars, like they start off like slow and steady, sticking to the game plan. He has great leg kicks. Like if he could use those leg kicks in this fight, we might be having like a different conversation on the Hurt Handbook. But he just gets drawn in every time. Like it's almost like he wants him to like go away, and he wants to have fun in there too. So he just eventually starts to negate his own reach advantage, and then he gets into these firefights. But I don't know. I mean, he might be very self-aware in his mind that like I'm going to a new weight division, and I think he probably realizes how good Arnold Allen is.
A weight division he's already been in before, so
so he knows like. You got to have some success here, or else there's not a lot of options. Like it's not going to be a quick path back to the title at either weight class if he loses this fight.
Yeah, huge fight for him. So
and huge fight for Arnold Allen, because I was saying this on the Instagram like back I think when Arnold Allen. No, this is at the beginning of the year actually. I said this that I wanted to see Arnold Allen versus Dan Hooker, because that was like right after Dan Hooker said he was going back down, and then MMA gods blessed me with that matchup. I was like, hey, there we go, but. Yeah, I just think this fight is so good for both of them, just because they both have so much to gain from it. And Dan Hooker definitely has more to lose, but we'll see what happens. I mean, what's another fight that we can get into on here?
The one that would happen right before this one that we actually don't need to spend that much time on.
All right, we might as well get it out of the way.
It's Patty. It's Patty.
Oh, yeah, Patty. Yeah, I saw on DraftKings, I'm sure it's similar on FanDuel, that Vargas is like one of the lowest priced people on fantasy.
Yep, you have Patty as the most expensive on both sides, and then you have I can't even find Vargas right here on my little sheet.
I know on DraftKings for a fact, at least for the fantasy,
6,800 on DraftKings, which is looking like the lowest on the card, and then $8 on FanDuel, which is also the lowest on the card. Like this is easily
it's a mismatch.
By far the most.
It's weird because Patty's like an unknown in a way, because like he's in like the UFC and he should be fighting the highest level guys. But honestly, like I was looking into Vargas before doing this, and like I'm pretty sure he was like 1-2 in the UFC at this point. And he's one of those guys, like, he's not bad, but he's very, like, predictable. He's a guy who's going to stand in front of you and trade, and he has a good guillotine.
Yeah, hardly above regional level.
Yeah, if Patty can pretty much, like, avoid getting clipped with his chin up or a quick guillotine, which I don't think he's going to get guillotined like that, I think that he should be able to win this fight. And if he doesn't, I mean, that's not a good sign. But I think he should pass this test with flying colors.
Patty Pimblett to win by submission on DraftKings and FanDuel. DK plus 180 plus 160 on FanDuel. Like I think that's the most.
I think he'll be able to finish it.
It's a better odds of him. The books say it's submission. It's better odds of him winning by submission than knockout or.
What about knockout though? I'm just curious.
Knockout, he's a better bet to win by knockout on DraftKings than.
Like better bet as in like. Actually, like better to bet on, or you mean like?
Oh, better bet to win by knockout.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, he's a plus 140 there, and he's a plus 230 on FanDuel.
I mean, I think they both kind of see what's inevitable here. I mean, like I said, this guy's that he's fighting. I think that the first guy he fought, Vengermini, I think he is better than the guy he's fighting right now, and maybe that's because he got rocked in that Vengermini fight. Maybe the UFC is like, all right, maybe we'll slow roll this a little bit, but. I think he should pass this test, no problem.
Yeah, with flying colors, dude. I mean...
Yeah, and that's not even, like, the hype train talking. That's, like, down the middle, watching fights and just seeing, like, what the styles are here.
It's nice, too, because, he's not even, like, FanDuel's obviously, it's going to be pretty different with the price difference. So I'm only gonna mention DraftKings here, but he's not even in the same price range as the heavyweights in the main event. He's 9,400, and then as we talked about Aspinall, so you can literally play it. You could play him and with either Volkov or Aspinall like pretty easily. So I mean that looks like, and like I said, like you don't have like just an absolute bevy of 9K options this week. I mean, we'll get into another one that.
See, but one thing is though too that you were talking about ownership before. Since he's so popular, I feel like the ownership on this is gonna be through the roof. So like if you're looking for variability, this might not be it, right?
I think if you're making one lineup, I want Patty in it.
True, to maximize it.
Making multiple, like, I mean, you know, I think I'd still probably want to be, like, at least there with the field on him. Not, like, over, not under. But I mean...
You have to say to yourself, I feel like, is there someone who can replace that level of points?
There is.
If you're not going to put in Patty.
We will get to at least one. And honestly, no, there's two others that kind of hold...
Want to get to those?
Yeah,
because we were saying that like
this is an interesting.
This one's so spread apart. Like
we'll start it.
Might as well just go to the next one.
We'll start it with Gunnar Nelson.
I like
Takashi
this fight.
Soto.
I want to talk about this fight too. So
I'll
let you go first though. So
yep, this is. I mean, I'm pretty excited to talk about this one too because this is also like has a pretty like large spread in terms of odds and whatnot for both guys, but unlike Patty and Vargas, honestly, which I don't think is going to be all that close. I see a path for this fight being like relatively like at least going to the scorecards and then maybe a decision win for Nelson. But Nelson's 9,200 on DraftKings, $21 on FanDuel. Soto's $7K on DraftKings and $9 on FanDuel. Then you've got Nelson as a minus 550 to win by. That's a money line on minus 550 money line on DraftKings, minus 620 on FanDuel. And then I'm just looking.
I think that's mainly because Takashi there is he's taking this fight on short notice.
Yeah, that's very true. Yep, and even with Gunnar Nelson, I don't think Gunnar. When's the last fight Gunnar Nelson?
2019, lost to Gilbert Burns in like September.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's been a long. He had an injury. He actually. I don't know if you know this. I'm not a big. I think it's Game of Thrones, but they were. He was saying that he got a knee injury by rolling with the mountain. You know who I'm talking about? That big like. Connor stuff. I swear to God, that's what happened. He said he was rolling with him and he went the wrong way and knee popped. Just because that's what it was. But I think he's taken so much time off and plus his style's not really like the explosive type. So I don't think like a knee injury is like the end of the world for him because he's more of a grappler as it is. I mean, he bounces around, but it's not explosive movement.
Minus 120 on DraftKings to win by submission. Minus 115 on FanDuel to win by submission.
Well, Takashi, he's just coming forward, trying to knock your head off. That's the whole plan. And if the only,
I think with Soto, if he hits that, like literally it takes one left hook. I think
it's weird because like there's a lot of questions around like how Gunnar Nelson is. Like that's what it is. Like because on the surface, the way I see this fight is like if Gunnar Nelson just comes out and like looks is like pretty much as he always has, he should win this fight no problem. But I feel like he'll probably come out a little bit slow just because it's been a couple years. And when he's like getting his wits about him in there, that's the most dangerous point, and he cannot get clipped during that because who knows what'll happen after that. But if he can just get through like the first few minutes and really get his bearings in there, I feel like he wins this fight easy. Especially considering, like I said, Takashi took it on short notice. But
yeah, you pretty much you nailed it right there. I think.
I've thought a lot about that fight. I'm a big fan of Gunnar Nelson, so I'm happy he's back. It's been a long time. Yeah,
I mean, I think if we're just gonna talk about him and Patty in a vacuum, I'd probably still like easily like if I'm making one cash game lineup, I think it's easily Patty without a doubt. But
I agree.
Gunnar Gunnar because he's sandwiched right in between Patty and Ilya Tapora in terms of price tags on DraftKings. We're about to get into Ilya Tapora, so he'd probably because Ilya Tapora I think also is going to be pretty
Topuria,
popular.
I like him a lot. I didn't even know he was on this card until like recently. Like I'm pretty excited about that. I love watching him fight.
Yep. We can just transition right in, taking on Makwan Emir Khani.
Nah, he's not fighting Amir Khani. He's
no, he's not fighting Amir Khani. I don't.
He's fighting. We're just talking Jai Herbert.
Yeah, there. It's funny because Jai Herbert's literally the only one on the second page of this diet.
Yes,
so I'm like, wait a minute, no, he's not fighting. That's Mike Grundy fighting. Okay, but yeah, Jai Herbert versus Ilia Topuria. Topuria 9,300 on DK, $22 on FanDuel, a minus 550 money line on DraftKings, minus 560 on FanDuel.
I wouldn't even put any money on Jai Herbert, honestly. Like, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but
no,
Ilia Topuria is
completely
so good.
Understood like what you mean.
Like, aside from like a puncher's chance, like I don't see like any way that Jai Herbert wins this fight.
Yeah, I don't know what it is with this dude and why the UFC just line him up against just killers, but you know,
because Herbert's I think he's taller and like this. I think Topuria is going up to 155. I don't know if he's staying there or not.
Oh, so this is a lightweight.
Yeah, and like so Jai Herbert's bigger, but he doesn't have the style to stop Topuria. He doesn't have the takedown defense. And Topuria is just going to take him down over and over, beat him up, probably even submit him. Who knows? What are some of the odds on like submission knockouts for Topuria?
Topuria's a plus 200 on FanDuel to win by knockout. Plus one. Yeah, you're really not
even there. Like
you're not getting really any value. You're getting more value by a decision finish than
it's possible
a literal finish. Plus 175 on DK win by finish. Plus 125 on FanDuel to win by submission, and a plus 100 on DK to win by submission.
That is...
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
So, I mean, if we're just going to use that, and we're going to compare him to Patty, it's literally like, it's a toss-up almost. Like, they're $1 price difference on FanDuel, $100 price difference on DraftKings. Pretty much the same odds to win by a finish. And then Patty's actually you get more value on Topuria winning by decision, but you know Patty's still more likely to win by decision.
I think that like Topuria might, like it depends on what you're looking for. Like if you think that Topuria might be like a more safe option just because like you've seen him do this over and over, like I think maybe then you'd want to go with Ilia Topuria, but I mean it's definitely a toss up between him and Patty, like you were saying.
I don't honestly like. That's a very you make a very
they got into a little fight. We were just talking about that. Yeah.
You make a very good point, and like for what it's worth, like Topuria is still cheaper than it's $100 and $1, but for he's still cheaper. So like for whatever that's worth.
You think they're trying to set up Patty versus Topuria at lightweight if this is because like they're trying to like. They're promoting this little skirmish they had at the hotel there. And, through the hand sanitizer at Ilia. Oh, man. That
would make a lot of sense, right? They're both getting two guys.
I don't want to see that, but I'm saying, like, do you think the UFC is going to try
I honestly feel like now that you, like, bring up the idea, like, it does kind of make sense to me, especially, like, they're both clearly expected, like, to win their fights.
But
like,
it's a big jump for Patty if he's going to go up and fight Ilia Topuria. And like I said, if Ilia wins this fight, he'll still be undefeated. I think at that point, if he wins, he'll be 12-0. I
feel like with Patty, they're going to push him.
We'll see. That's a great fight, though. I'd love to see it. I mean, that would definitely tell us where Patty's at. But this fight, yeah, I mean, both of them should be able to beat their opponents.
For now, we can just talk about the two of them. The two of them facing between each other from a daily fantasy.
This is their first matchup.
Yeah, this is their first matchup.
We'll see who gets more points. We will talk about this on Sunday.
Like obviously, like there's nothing stopping you from playing both, but like man, like,
that's a lot of money to be putting down.
You're really cutting it like close.
You're hoping for some underdogs.
And like I said, like I kind of hit on in the beginning, like it's not a great underdog slate. I mean. We can actually transition into one that I think
All right, I'll see if you're gonna say the same one. If not, we'll go to this one next.
So what I'm thinking of is there's two, but I'll bring up just one of them. I'll say
Sure.
we'll go with Nikita Krylov and Paul Craig.
Oh, okay. What do you think about this fight?
Well, this is another one I could. So you have, the odds aren't all that, like, it's not. Krylov's the favorite, but he's not some crazy favorite. Craig's a plus 165 on DK money line, plus 154 on FanDuel money line, and he's a plus 7. No. He's a plus 500 to win on DraftKings by decision, plus 550 on FanDuel to win by decision. And Krylov's minus 195 on DraftKings, win by money line, 184 FanDuel money line. And then a plus 350 on DraftKings to win by decision, plus 250 to win by decision. Well, Paul Craig, I feel like if he can get this to the ground, then you have a $7,500 Paul Craig on DraftKings. FanDuel, I don't love the play. I mean, $13 is fine, but
I feel like Paul Craig is one of those options that's like it's like, is it boom or bust? Is that what they say?
Yeah, boom or bust.
Because he's like one of those guys. He's not really the type who's going to shoot like a double leg. He has like very unorthodox ways to get the fight to the ground. Like he'll roll in for like a leg. He'll even pull guard in some fights. Like if he gets in the clinch, he'll pull the guy on top of him. Other times he'll get dropped and end up in his guard, which honestly is. I could see that happening in this fight and have Paul Craig like winning by submission in that way because he's done it so many times.
That's what I'm thinking too. Like I think that's the type of play you get in Paul Craig, and only paying $7,500 for it. Like,
it's not bad.
There's a serious upside there.
If you think he's gonna win, I think it's worth it because if he wins, I think it'll be by submission, and if Krylov wins, it'll just be by a decision or a knockout. And that might be good for you too, but like, you're getting so much more value if you get Paul Craig because he's so much cheaper, and I think it's such a close fight.
Krylov's just in an awkward spot, I think, on this card. Like between the 9K guys, and then obviously we talk about the main event, both guys being cheaper. He's 8,700 on DraftKings. Just I don't know if I mentioned that or not, but yeah, he's 8,700 on DK.
This fight's weird. It's just I don't know what'll happen.
And the other fight I was thinking that's pretty similar to this one in terms of price tags.
Oh wait, before you go to that, one thing though I do want to say about Paul Craig is that if this fight does stay on the feet, it could be a nightmare for anybody who hasn't, because Paul Craig, in my opinion, like
exactly,
it's not that he's like not comfortable, but like he doesn't seem like he's as confident in his striking anywhere near to the point that he is in his jiu-jitsu. And like if it has to stay on the feet, he usually gets very tentative, and then he'll start like swinging, and usually he'll either miss and get caught, and that might get him to the ground like we were saying before, because sometimes he'll get dropped. But if it does stay on the feet, that, like I said, boom or bust. If you pick him, you better hope he's gonna win by submission. That's like what it is.
It's a relatively volatile fight to target, but
I just want to make that clear because, like I said,
if you're gonna,
it's worth it if you think he's gonna win by submission, which
like
the
price difference is significant enough. Like Paul Craig's price in general is like for them 500, I'll take that, especially on this card. And
I think
like the odds really don't look that bad. Like obviously he's an underdog. He's underdog and everything, but
it honestly just depends on how the fight goes, and that's like obviously for all the fights, but this one really in particular is hard to just match, because like if he doesn't get a submission, he could be on his back the whole round. So like it's like I said, it's a risk, but it's definitely worth taking if you think he's going to win by submission, which I think is very possible. So, but you can go to that next fight you were saying. I just wanted to get that out of the way.
This fight I actually more like, what's the word I'm looking? More like prone to shy away from the underdog in this fight. And this one is going to be Timur Valiev taking on Jack Shore.
I'll see. This is good then, because I'm the other way around on this.
You're the other way. Okay,
completely the opposite.
So, all right. So,
but
they're both very similar in this. So Shore is 7,600. That's 100 more than Paul Craig, and then Valiev is 80, and then Timur Valiev is 8,600, which is $100 less than Nikita Krylov. And then the odds are, you have As a money line favorite on DraftKings, Value's -115, -118 on FanDuel. Shore's a minus. So DraftKings actually has this at pretty. Yeah, this is the even money fight I was talking about before. Both states are really plus -105 on moneyline DraftKings for Shore, plus 100 on FanDuel, and then to win by decision on DraftKings, plus 150 for Valiev, plus 180 for Jack Shore, and then the finish props are really not all that.
What about Jack Shore by submission?
Jack Shore by submission on DraftKings is plus 700, plus 500 on FanDuel. Then the knockout odds are pretty
I don't think that'll happen.
Those are pretty up there. So
I'll explain why I feel the way I feel because
Valiev on a DraftKings to win by knockout plus 550. So
it's not bad.
I don't know.
The reason I'm leaning towards Shore because I've seen people didn't think that his style would translate into the UFC solely because, like I said about Aspinall, people in the they think people in that UK environment aren't as good on the ground, but Jack Shore has been doing this to everybody he's fought, and he's undefeated. And I've seen Valiev have problems with people, and the way that Valiev fights too, he likes to back up, and Jack Shore is going to walk him down. So the way that I see it playing out in my head is that Jack Shore might be able to get him up against the cage and just either keep him at a distance and outstrike him, because I do think he might be a bit of a better striker, or he can maybe just grind him out up against the fence and maybe even get a slick back take, because his back takes are incredible. But that's not saying that I don't think Valiev has any chance. I do think that this is a pretty even fight, pretty much like Vegas does, but if you're asking me what my prediction would be, I honestly think that Jack Shore has the style to beat Valiev, and because of that, I think that he might be really good value.
Both the same price on FanDuel, interestingly. So that's actually some genuinely
really.
I would, in that case,
that's kind of wild.
Jack Shore might be an absolute
DraftKings has a
smash on a FanDuel. $15, literally the same price as Valiev.
But then DraftKings has them $1,000 apart. That's kind of
that's what I'm saying.
You would know more than me. Is that that's not a common thing?
That's not a common thing. It's even if you were to just look at the rest of the card, you wouldn't see that kind of the discrepancy.
Because he was affordable on DraftKings, and I figure that's just because when people see a name like Timur Valiev, they think it's just this guy's gonna maul him, but it's not always the case.
You're gonna play Valiev. I think he's great. I think he's easily probably one of, if not the best play on FanDuel, and then obviously Shore right there if you want to take that shot. I think it's very simple. Valiev, great play on FanDuel. Shore, great. Not necessarily great, but I think a really strong tournament play on DraftKings at that price right there with Craig. And I personally, I think him and Paul Craig, it's funny because I think they have relatively the same that same path. To win, they have the way that they see, and you just played out the scenario in your head. They have the way that they can win this fight. It's just
can they execute it
exactly? It's not the most likely path to.
It's weirder though, because I think even in a loss, Jack Shore he wouldn't get shut down per se, but obviously you don't want your fighter to lose in general. But still, if there was a fighter that maybe I'd be more confident in winning, it would be Paul Craig, just because I think that finish threat is always there. But in terms of overall skill set, over the course of 3 rounds, I think Jack Shore has more of a chance to win by a decision. If you get what I'm trying to say? Yeah,
for sure. Dude. Whereas Jack Shore, his he wants us to stay up on. He wants us to be on the feet. Paul Craig wants us.
I think he should keep it on the feet. I think he can grapple with Valiev, depending on where that exchange takes place. But if I were him, I wouldn't even take the chances. In
a clinch up against the cage,
he's got to just have a spot to get on his back. If he doesn't think he's gonna get to his back, I wouldn't mess around with him. And because he does have pretty good striking. He's good at picking people apart, but. Yeah, that's pretty much what I think about that fight. But
there you have it. Valiev on FanDuel, that is quite the quite the price right there. I don't think. Yeah,
One fight I did want to get into when you were talking, I don't know per se like if if she's an underdog by odds, but I know that she was cheaper than her opponent on DraftKings. But Luana Carolina and Molly McCann. Now I think like Molly McCann was in the 8Ks and then Luana was in the 7Ks. Am I right about that? Or
Molly McCann is 8,400. Luana Carolina is 7,800.
yeah, I mean that's an interesting fight. I think like I'm just saying I don't know like if it's maybe like worth it for value, but I'm just saying solely because of the prices. Just because I think that people don't really know as much about Luana Carolina. I don't know if she'll finish Molly McCann, but I think that she has the potential to like rack up points with significant strikes because she has like a really good jab and she's just good at like keeping people at a distance and walking them down.
Carolina is a plus 200 on DraftKings to win by decision, plus 210 on FanDuel to win by decision.
That's not bad. I don't Molly McCann like. She's good and all, but in this fight, it's just like a tough matchup because Luana, I'm pretty sure, has like a really big reach advantage.
Yeah, you're not getting really much value with Molly McCann, anyways.
Yeah, I when I saw that price on there, that's why I was like, I don't know about that. Like that's a little high. And then for Luana, like I said, it's in the 7Ks, but like she's probably I don't know. What do you think about her? I guess like if she were to win, like I said, I think she'd be walking her down and. Basically, almost like a Nate Diaz style. Like that's how she kind of fights.
I'll probably just favor it because people we've already talked about who are cheaper than her. Jack Shore, Paul Craig.
True. Yeah, you got a
Volkov is only 100 more. I mean, she's fine. She just doesn't stand out to me.
What's her for her by knockout? I'm just curious. Like
to win by knockout, she's a plus 800 on DraftKings, plus 950 on FanDuel.
That's Luana?
Yeah.
That's actually not. I mean, Molly McCann's really tough though. That's the thing, but that's not.
Yeah,
like,
and I don't just even the odds for Molly McCann, just the plus 110 to win. Oh no, that's the decision. So it's actually to win. Yeah, like all in all, Vegas doesn't think this fight is gonna end in a finish. That it's going to the scorecards in favor of Molly McCann, is how Vegas is projecting this right now. So
yeah,
I mean maybe you see.
Unless I think if you think Luana could get a finish, then maybe. But yeah, like you were saying, maybe not.
I don't know. It depends. It's more like Molly McCann in this case. I just don't see a ton of value there.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Molly McCann is honestly. I don't think she's gonna win this fight. So like,
okay,
it's just because it's just a bad matchup. Like it's like
yeah, okay.
She's fought these girls who have like long reach. Like it ends the same way every time. Like it's a brawl. Usually, but usually the taller fighter with the reach ends up being able to keep her at the end of their reach, and then Molly just can't really land punches as much as she needs to.
I'm gonna be really interested to see where ownership goes there because that could be one of those bad chalk plays we've talked about.
True. Yeah. No. I think ownership would definitely be pretty low on Luana. I would think.
Molly's who I'm interested to see what that looks like. But
yeah, I think some people are going to be losing money with that fight. But hey, who knows? I like Molly McCann. I hope she wins.
And if so, then
that's what I want. I love like all those people from England just because like they're just so entertaining. Like we don't have enough of them in the U.S. who are willing to like put on a show like that. And I think that Molly McCann and Patty Pimblett, they're great ambassadors for the sport.
Before we wrap this up, just want to get into a few more like just straight up smash spots.
Sure.
Like we talked about with Patty. And then the curtain jerker for the card, Mohamed Makayev taking on Cody Durden. This is one of those that I'm talking about. You won another 9K fighter and $9,100 Makayev, $21 on FanDuel. Just expected to just steamroll essentially Cody Durden. Yeah, I don't really.
Both of these guys have like wrestling backgrounds. Although Cody Durden on the feet, he kind of brawls, but Makayev.
I think with Durden, like it's past the first round. Like there's just no gas tank.
That's true. He does get tired.
He gets tired really quickly.
And Makayev, he's undefeated too, coming in, and like he's. People see his record, and I think he's only like 6-0 professionally, but I'm pretty sure he also has like over 25 wins and no losses.
Yeah, I don't really...
in his amateur career.
So this is his first UFC fight?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
that makes sense. Because I was going to say, like, I don't really understand this matchup.
But he's just, like, he's really hyped because I'm pretty sure he has, like, a really good wrestling background in England. Like, he had, like, a very good, like, pedigree there. And I'm pretty sure he's won, like, a couple big jiu-jitsu things, too.
Yeah, I mean, he's...
But...
I think
besides that, he's also good on really good on the feet. So like he's pretty much just an all around threat.
I think he looks like the best. Yeah, I think he might be the best favorite on the entire card to literally win by his fight by a finish.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, because Cody Durden, he's not bad, but he's one of those he's a beatable guy, and like if Makayev is for real, he should be able to run right through Cody Durden, and that's what Vegas is probably thinking he will do, and it's not a bad assumption, but I think that Durden might be like a better wrestler in the sense of like actual wrestling, like because American wrestling just has more competition, but in terms of MMA wrestling and putting it all together, I think that Makayev is probably way better, just from what I've seen. Mm-hmm. Another person I just see like on there, I don't know if you want to get into it at all, but just to like point her out, Corey McKenna, I think she's really good. And she's fighting a girl who I think that she could rack up a lot of points against because she's one of those girls who's good on the ground. So she's going to go for a lot of takedowns. And if she wins, it might also be by submission. So she could get a finish in there too. So I don't know. That was sort of like a weak transition, but I'm curious to see what you thought of that fight. If you want to say something, though, about Makayev and Durden before we move on, obviously feel free.
No, I was pretty much ready to get into the next fight too. Just Makayev, another one of these top end guys, just heavy favorites. Just I won't say you can't necessarily go wrong on because like once again I think Patty and Ilya are still at the top. Yeah. Like and there's like a slight gap, but 9100 Makayev is it's fine. He should win this fight. It's just whether or not it's going to be by decision or finish. So, and then right back to the McKenna Reed fight. You got McKenna. So McKenna is actually, if you think she's going to, what do you think the most likely outcome is of this fight?
Either it's like a tie pretty much between either her by decision dominantly, like a lot of takedowns and control time, or by submission.
Because Corey McKenna is a plus 650 on DraftKings to win by submission and plus 750 on FanDuel to win by submission.
Maybe by submission it might be worth it because she is really good on the ground. She trains with Uriah Favor's team.
Yeah, just clear. I'd see value in that right now. At least I'm interested to see how that, how much that number changes for both sites, but.
The ownership, too, I feel like is going to be very low on just because she's still young, and I'm pretty sure this fight is on the prelims.
So she's cheaper than Makayev on both sites. Honestly, I think there's probably an edge to going with her over Makayev for $300 less on DraftKings, $2 less on FanDuel, and then. What
do you think of that Pavlovich versus Shamil?
That was the next fight I was about to get into. You're trying to knock out all these just smash spots, heavy favorites, and all that. Yeah. Pavlovich, one of my favorite bets on the card to win by finish, the knockout. $9K on DraftKings, $20 on FanDuel. I like that FanDuel DraftKings. I'd like that FanDuel price tag
for DraftKings too. Just to note because they also have that. If you get the finish within 60 seconds, you get an extra 25 points. Mm-hmm. This might be one of those fights where that matters.
For sure, yep.
Shamil, he's really good, but he's getting older and he's gotten a lot slower. And usually these guys who are a lot faster than him tend to knock him out. Oh yeah,
there's a huge age difference. I think Pavlovich has the.
He's also 14-1, Pavlovich,
and I think he has a reach advantage too.
I don't see many ways for Shamil to get this one done besides get him down and keep him there. But that's good. Going to be really hard to do.
Yeah, another name I probably favor over Makayev on both sides for cheaper. So there's that, and then there was, I believe, one more I wanted to touch on.
I think it was Makwan versus Grundy. I think that besides that, we talked about all of them.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Pretty much. There's not too many fights on this card.
Which is
not as many as the past.
Yeah, we really did just go. This is the last one, so we pretty much did just go. Just break down every single every single fight on the card, just like that.
I feel like this one's kind of a toss-up.
Okay.
But I
So
want to
the
say
pri-
Amir Khani's going to win, but I'm not a little
The
hesitant.
price tags, they're close. Like they're in the so like how I consider like if someone's in someone's price range, it's like if it's in within $1,000, then that's a price range to me. In which case, Amir Khani's in Mike Grundy's price range on both sites. Grundy on DK 8,500. Amir Khani $77. Grundy on FanDuel $17. Amir Khani $12. And then you got Grundy as a moneyline favorite on DraftKings -195. Same thing on FanDuel. +165 moneyline on DraftKings for Amir Khani, and then the same thing on FanDuel. So
all I have for this one, in my opinion, is just like they're both really good wrestlers, but Amir Khani, I think, is just the more like experienced guy, and he's fought higher level competition.
So you think there's a lot of grappling going on in this?
I think it's possible, or it could just, if it's not, it'll be one of those times like where it's like, you know, when two grapplers meet, it's a stand-up war.
Yep.
But I think if it's a stand-up war, then Amir Khani should do all right. But then again, he suffered quite a brutal knockout against Lerone Murphy, like, I want to say like towards the end of last year, and like, you know, usually I don't think much of it, but that was like a brutal knockout. So like I don't.
Yeah, that changes.
That's another thing too. You gotta worry about their chin.
So.
But I think if that doesn't like become an issue, I think maybe Amir Khani could just get this one done based off just overall experience in the game and just at the highest level, because he's fought like a lot of guys here now in the UFC. He's been around for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, so with that being said, like now that I look about it and now that we've like talked about it and all of that, like this 7K, I think the 7K price range.
There's some strong candidates in there.
For sure, there's
Volkov's like the only one that really like. Oh, and the actually not one guy. The one guy Vargas who's fighting Patty, he's like not even in that range. He's like 6,800 or something, isn't he?
Oh yeah, he's 60. He's the cheapest fighter on.
Yeah, so I was gonna say besides Volkov, then yeah, maybe all the other people in the 7K range are pretty good.
Yeah, man.
Actually, maybe not Reed either. The girl who's fighting McKenna. That might not be a good idea.
Let's choose you choose your 9K guy, and then honestly, you can just build out like a pretty like strong balanced lineup with like a few 7K guys, maybe 1 or 2 8K guys, and then that could definitely.
There's definitely some finishes that I can foresee on this card too, so maybe like keep that in mind too, like who you think's gonna finish their fights, because obviously they're worth more value.
Yeah, I can see a few
there, but you get what I mean.
Yeah. I see a few finishes too on this fight. Like we just talked about all these heavy favorites and whatnot, and even
like some of the underdog ones. Like I think if some of those people win, it'll be by a finish too.
The main event, like we'll see what that ends up.
Yeah, we obviously we always have like a prediction at the end of the video, even though we talk about it a little bit. But obviously, I'm assuming you haven't changed your mind in the last like half hour to 45 minutes. Tom Aspinall, you still feel like he's going to win this main event?
Yes, I still feel Tom Aspinall will win this fight.
You think he'll get a finish, or you think he'll go the 5 rounds?
Now that's where it becomes pretty difficult because I do think he gets the finish. I don't know when he gets the finish though, because I said before, like I think if he's if he's gonna win this fight and he gets the finish, then it's gonna happen in the first 2 rounds.
I could see it in like the first 3. Honestly, because rounds 4 and 5 is just all it is. It's just a completely unknown.
Yeah.
But anything through 1 through 3, I think he can get a finish in, and we'll see how he looks in those championship rounds.
True test for him, dude. And
that's why I'm excited for this fight, and I'm glad he's fighting a guy like Volkov too, who's not an easy because people you hear the term gatekeeper in MMA a lot. And I think that, Volkov is considered one of those types of guys, but, he's one of those gatekeepers who wins a lot of those times, too. Because you can't come up thinking that you're just going to run through him, because when you do that, that's when he beats you. So I think Aspinall's smarter than that. Like I say, he's pretty much been, raised in martial arts, so he knows not to, disrespect anyone. So I just think Tom Aspinall is one of those guys who's going to be here for a long time, and I think this is the first fight where we really see how good he is. And because of that, I just can't wait. Like this whole card's great. Like I said, Arnold Allen, Dan Hooker, Patty's fighting. I like Paul Craig too. Molly McCann I like too, but like I said, I don't think it might not go well for her, but who knows? Hopefully I'm wrong about that.
The co-main.
Yeah, man, that co-main
is so good. Fire.
It's just good for both guys. I'm curious to see what style wins out in it and how it goes. Like that's one of those fights that I'm just curious to see how they go about it in terms of like strategy. But man, I can't wait for this card. And you know what I can't wait for even more than that? When we get to talk about it on Sunday for the next episode of the Hurt Handbook.
Oh, yes, sir. You already know it, man.
Oh, yeah,
well,
100%.
yeah, that's pretty much the rundown. As always, just keep an eye out on the lines, the odds and all that. See how much they change and all that. You know, if one fighter right now probably doesn't look like all that you're considering playing, then that could change by tomorrow, just like that. So keep an eye on for that, of course. And yeah, other than that, there's just plenty of ways you can go about making a winning lineup this week, and
lots of different avenues. It's different than last week, and because I feel like last
there
week
was ever a card to play multiple lineups in. I think this one is one of them.
Yeah, no, I might dabble in it this weekend. Who knows? I always make like a little impulse decision, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, whatever. And however those Vegas odds change and all that, and all those lines change, just know that the price tag is for daily fantasy don't. And Tamir Valiev will still be $15 on FanDuel. So, yeah, that's...
And Jack Shore is still $7,600 on that. It's crazy how, like...
It's literally a flip. That's insane. But,
yeah, so depending on what app you're playing on, that can be an interesting fight. But
yeah, that's another plug of me saying... cash lineups, one lineup, play Tamir Valiev on FanDuel.
Me and you should have like a bet on this fight, like a small wager. We'll talk about this off camera.
Because like I feel like
it's an interesting one, like just for some extra excitement. You know what I mean?
Bro, first you just made an amazing idea, sir.
Yeah, no, because I think since we started this is probably the first one that we pretty much had like not opposite opinions, but like because like I said, I could see Valiev winning, but like I'd be willing to put a little bit on Shore.
I think he wins. I think it goes to the scorecards. And
when Jack Shore's sitting on his back choking him out, we'll see about that. We'll see about that. No, but I honestly, that's going to be a great fight. I can't wait for that one, just because they're both like two great prospects.
All right, well that does it. Let us know who you're siding with here.
We hope you make some money with us too.
Short. Yep, for sure, of course. Enjoy the card, everybody. Should be an absolute banger. We will see you on Monday.